Good morning to one and all. As a student, so we are young graduation students. They are going case study one operating systems. In the different topic is going to be the band for slider. It is used to reduce the deadlock concept and inviting the uh, Aditya and the team to explain the band for slider concept to avoid the deadlocks.
Good morning, everyone. Today, my teammate and I are presenting a case study on the Banter's algorithm, focusing on how operating systems handles dynamic deadlock awareness. We'll be rigging this complex OS concept down through a very initiative real-world analogy, the Banter's strategy of handling credit panics. So, in this case study, we will cover these topics: high-level concept, the algorithm, key terminology, weighted summary, and take-homes. So, let us understand. Let's start with the big idea. Imagine an operating system acting exactly like a cautions band manager for our show. The big idea, the careful back answer. Let us understand by taking a simple example. In this environment, the cache, let us example the operating system as an information. The cache inside the vault, like it is a pre-resources, RAM and CPU cycles. The customers locking in are learning promises, and the pre-approved credit card limits represent their maximum resource needs. So the golden bro varies, and the manager mobile plans the loan without like without the estimation the customer can repay the loan or not. So the manager always stimulates the future first to ensure it at least once one customer can fully finish fully repay the loan or not, so that he can give the loan to the next person. Here how repos resource will be fully used or not in operating system the process takes the resources, it uses briefly or not, how it works. So next we will understand about the core problem. What is the So see here, it is a process day and process day. For process day, we go to printer and waits for scan. We keep the scan. But process B, it goes a scanner and it needs some breakthrough. So both both processes doesn't have the resources what they need. So this is what the problem. So this is what reflux needs. The both processes doesn't get their required resources. This is what the problem is called denda. Works on the four strategies. We can see here it is mutual exclusion, warning weight, and no preemption and self-learning. So, but four conditions which what's the data. So let us understand what this four conditions. So now three understand these four topics, four conditions for the data. The first one is mutual right boundaries, mutual excluding. So agree one resource must be held in a shared agreement. Only one process can use the resources at only given time. So for example, we understand the by an example. So we go to an order, we go to the only one was the up by meter is so others you have to be waiting to so this is what mutual experience is nice a resource when a resource is used by a process A, it cannot be used by process B. Next, we will understand gold and girl. It's a greedy condition. Say process must currently be holding at least one resources while simultaneously waiting to acquire additional resources that are being held by the other processes. So let us understand this by an example. A student holding a lex tool in one hand while reaching out and waiting for a notebook and by a class. So the refuse should cool down a textbook until they get the note. So this was an example. So ne let's cut what inside kiya ji and sunlow. So sunlow but made us understand and put better as a case Moses A, Moses B and Moses. I will so we will like then so what software make peace? Like where does that understand this by an example? Let us take process A, process A and process C. So to run the process here, resources need they are in the process A and the resources which on need to the process B are in process C. So what happens is like to run the process A, the process C also matters. So this is called a circular weight piece. Next, we'll understand what is smooth deemption. So resources cannot be forcefully taken from and processors until it until it releases or we cannot take forceful until it releases. So this is not more preemption. So next, you can understand So next we will understand what is difference between prevention versus avoidance. You can see deadlock prevention. So to stop this, an OS can use two strategies, that is deadlock prevention and deadlock avoidance. So deadlock prevention uses rigid ways, forcing a process to request all its resources upfront. So when simple, it completely wastes resources, and also it kills the flexibility of the process, which will be the problem, major problem for deadlock prevention. Instead, we can use the deadlock avoidance process. So what happens here is, it is a dynamic process. Deadlock avoidance process is a dynamic process. It On the other hand, deadlock avoidance is a dynamic process. So it lets the process request resource freely, like on the fly. But runs the backdoors algorithm in the background to block all the dangerous requests. What happens here is, he grants the request directly, only blocks the unplaced request, unsafe requests, and also better resource should be placed. So when resources are sent to from CTO, all the resources are used without any disturbance. So next, my friend Aditya will continue what the deadlock process is and the key terminology. So,
I think guys, as Ashin has explained in the concept of deadlock, I would like to carry forward this case study, explaining about how deadlock occurs initially and how can it be prevented. Whenever resources are allocated to a system, it can be occurred in two ways: using the software method where we use Peterson solution, and using hardware where we use hardware single sign. In fact, Peterson solution we consider only two processors and we allocate resources to these two particular processes. Similarly, hardware the asynchronous assuming that there are many number of processes concurrent, resources are allocated all of these processes. So whenever resources are allocated for these processes, these resources are blocked from further use. So what happens is that, let's take Peterson solution as an example. Now I go understand how deadlock occurs. Yeah, so as I told you, here we are going to take two crossover. Assume that there are surfaces A and B. Now, say that there are two people, guys, Harman and Harvey. Now, if we then say that they require both Harman and R2 to be processed successfully, process B also require resources R1 and R2 they are to be processed successfully. Initially, before the start of any of the process, what I did is I gave the resource R1 and I allocated me the resource R. Now what has R1 is allocated to P and R2 is allocated to PA. B cannot get the resource R1, A cannot get the resource R2, and both are in a state of waiting. Since both are waiting and none of the processes are getting complete, this is called a deadlock situation. In order to avoid such situation, what we can do is that from the four things that made deadlock occur, we can either eliminate one of them, or what we can do is that we can use an algorithm called Banker's algorithm in order to prevent deadlock. Pause. Since we understood how data occurs, let me first clarify some terminology that are required to understand Banker's algorithm problem. First thing is available. Available is basically a vector that shows the number of available resources which can be used in order to complete a particular process. This basically represents the number of resources that are free and can be allocated to a particular process. Look at allocation. So the allocation is also a vector that shows you the number of resources that were previously allocated to resources. Like how we saw before that, resource R1 was already allocated to A and resource R2 was already allocated to B. All of these previously assigned resources are also stored in a vector which is called allocation. Now, using available and allocated resources, what we are going to do is, we are going to calculate the need, but before that, let's understand what max need technique was. So maximum need and resources are the number of resources required for a particular process to be completed successfully. So now let's look at what is the need. So need is basically the remaining need of the process, like the remaining number of resources that are required for a process to be completed successfully. This is calculated using this formula, maximum air minus the allocated resources. So, for example, if we take the example of say I am hungry and I want to eat 10 apples so that my hunger gets rid. So, my friend gave me 3 apples. As how many are the remaining apples that are required by me in order to satisfy my hunger? 7. My how did we calculate that? We did 10 minus 3 and then we got 7. 7 are the number of apples that are needed by me in order to satisfy my hunger. Similarly, this formula is something that represents the remaining need of process. Now let's look at an example of how Banger's algorithm exactly goes. So initially, as you can see that there is this elongated resources. There are maximum number of resources that are needed in order to complete the respective functions. And then we have available resources which we will calculate at the end. And then we have remaining resources which also will be calculated. So say that there are 3 functions we have. Five zeros, P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5 and each process needs 3 resources to be completed which are A, B and 2. You can take A as printer, B as CPU, Z as like a speaker kind of thing. So these 3 resources are required for each process to be executed such an. So the total number of resources available as we have 10 resources B, 5 resources B and 7 resources. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to calculate the remaining number of resources by using a formula maximum needed resources minus the allocated resources. If we calculate the remaining mean, what's in the table, we get some time.
You like them.
Correct.
I think that is okay. Oh, they don't get
Right.
Having it's another public high base and well open. It's been very good because their name like putting on gentle to any good and work that. Any paper then from there. And this sense of country. That's this possible at home. Like to mommy away. Other answer someday. Beginning of vendors of Tamil
So these are the remaining resources I need for each and every particular process in order for it to be completed. Next, what we will be doing is that we will be calculating the total number of resources that were already allocated. We saw because sound mom will get here the
You may take
and then here
take a
and then here. So and then resources 7 units of K, 2 units of T and 5 units of C were already assigned to these particular process. That means what you have to do is that from the total amount of resources that are already given for these 5 processes to be complete should be here like that this quotas will be supplied from here so that we can calculate which process can be completed using the remaining available resource. So what we will be doing here? We will be supplying input not only A so the 3 A's are 3 units of A are 3 to be allocated for a particular process to be completed. Similarly, for B we have C only for the C and for C we have 5 minus 1 is 4, 7 minus 4 is 5. And 5 minus 2 is 3 and 7 minus 5 is. So these are the available resources I know which I can use in order to complete any of those 5 processes. Now let's just see which process we can first complete. Now we already calculated the remaining need of each and every process. So using these available resources, can we complete process 3? No. Why? Because process A still needs 7 units of A in order to be completed. So let's move to the next process. Next process needs 1 unit of A, which we can provide from the available resource. Needs and it is units of B, which can be allocated using the available resource.
and to we need 2 units of C which can be allocated using the available number of resources. So first process that can be completed is second. So what happens is that P gets completed. Let P is the previously allocated resources for P can now be released, which are these resources over here. 2 units of A was previously allocated to A. Sorry, P2. Now this can be released and it can be used for completing the other processes. So we can eliminate this and write C. So by adding 2 to A, because 2 units of A was previously previously allocated to process 2 before Van der algorithm even started. Now it becomes 3 because resources P2 is now complete. So we'll add 2 to A to get 5. And since we didn't allocate any resources of BN3, again is random bandwidth is AN2. Now, using these available resources, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to see if we can complete any of the other processes apart from P2. Can we complete process P1? No, we can't. Then we move on to this process, which is P3. Can we complete P3? P3 still requires 6 units of data, which you cannot provide because you currently have the 5 resources of. Now, what we are going to do is that we are going to check for process P2. Can P4 be completed? Yes, it can. Because you need 2 units of A to be completed, which you can provide. You need 1 unit of B, which you can provide, and you need 1 unit of C, which you can provide. So, process na gets now gets completed. That means the previously allocated resources, which are these ones over here, get released because these were already allocated before the algorithm even started. What we should do is that we add these values to the available number of resources. Now the party handle, we get 7, and then we get, and finally we get 20. 120. Now, part of these become 0, well, the process to P4 is now combined. Now let's just check if we can still complete process P1. Can we complete process P1? Yeah, let's look at it. You can provide 7 resources, 7 units of case. But then, can still provide 4 units of, but can you provide 3 units of C? No, right? Because you still have only one available, 1 unit of C available, which you, but it still is 3, right? So you cannot complete process P1. Let's look at process P3. Can P3 be completed? Yes, it can, because you have the required number of resources in order to complete process P3, which are 6 units, just 6 units of A. Now, you can complete process B and B. Okay. We after completing P2, completed P4. And then, we completed process P3. Now, calling and OS, you can reduce these resources to immediately allocated in order to complete this particular resource, which is 3, 0, and 2, right? So, 3 units of A will now be released. It is 7. Which means 0 number of D and 2 units of C, right? Which now becomes now to have these many available this on that, and we also completed the process P final. What is the final process that can be made? It is for a process P1, because you can now provide 7 resources of A, 4 resources of P, and 3 resources of B. You can finally complete those also. What we are going to do, that we are going to add the remaining value, which is 1 unit of B over here as a spin is tilted down here. And how we get this happens. Value. So, we successfully completed all, we successfully completed moving through all the processes, and all the processes have been executed successfully. So, what Banker's algorithm is exactly doing is it is preventing a deadlock from occurring. It is not like, we initially discussed the 4 things that make a deadlock successful. Removing any one of them will avoid a deadlock, but it will not prevent a deadlock. So, what will Banker's algorithm do is that it will take the even initially the number of resources required in order to complete the process are initially fed to the system. That means the number of resources needed for that particular process to be completed is a timing.
because you are already providing it. Right? So what we came up with is that we changed the number of resources from it being static to be dynamic. Now, what change does it actually brings? Well, if the number of resources are static, then whenever the program is in runtime, you cannot allocate the resources because you already gave the maximum number of needed resources previously, right? So what we did is that we developed a simple algorithm in order to allocate resources even in runtime also, so that the process can be executed successfully. The need of a given process might change in runtime. It might need more number of resources, it might need less number of resources. That is the reason why static number of resources fails in some given cases. We solved it by making them tiny. We solved it by taking the number of resources as dynamic, and we solved that by making small changes in the algorithm, which we will look at as a part of a demo.